Newsflash is brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. Still, fun papa fee.
And you're still watching Prime Morning. This is the News Flash segment, which is proudly brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. Still and still fun, Papa Perfie. Don't forget to join us as we are streaming live on Facebook. So you can go on Facebook if you're not home. Just join us on Facebook and leave your comments there. Of course, you know that we will read your comments. And if you're watching us on TV at home, you can actually leave your comments on our WhatsApp number, 055-157-5757, 055-157-5757. My name is Roslyn Felly. Let me quickly read the newspapers, and then after that, we go into our main conversation for this morning. But with Franco Trading Enterprise, of course, we give you authentic gadgets. So when you go Franco Trading Enterprise, any gadgets you're looking for, mobile phones, television sets, CCTV cameras, worry no more, we've got you covered. You can download the app on your phone, which is the Franco Trading app, which makes things very easy for you in the comfort of your home. Just purchase your item and we'll deliver it to you at your doorstep. For further inquiries, visit our website, www.francotradingenterprise.com. Franco Trading Enterprise, still and still, fun papa perfie. I'll start with the Daily Banner newspaper. The Daily Banner newspaper. Baba Sam to High Court set aside Nane J's illegally obtained court order. Baumia visits assault victims in Ablekuma North rerun, pledges support. Mining group links Yamin Abanga Colonel Tally to rogue anti-Galamsey task force, but Yamin Abanga deny claims. My Redeemer School places third at Global Robotics Challenge, and this will be all for the Daily Banner newspaper. The next newspaper is the Daily Graphic newspaper. The Daily Graphic. Presidential jet grounded, air travel worthiness uncertain. Ablekuma North violence, tame electoral vigilantism, experts advocate, affordability barrier to chronic disease treatment, NHIA study. And new visa policy, not about length of stay, says U.S. Embassy. Okay, so you know what? Let's take a bit about the new visa policy, because I know once it was reviewed and they actually dropped it from 5 years of multiple entries to 3 months. People have been asking a lot of questions, and the answers are here. So this is what it says. The new visa validity schedule announced by the U.S. State Department for non-immigrant visas B1, B2 does not stay in the U.S. by holders. The charge d'affaires at the U.S. Embassy, Rolf Olsen has clarified in an exclusive interview with the Daily Graphic at the U.S. Embassy in Accra. The charge d'affaires said the new visa policy, which revised the non-immigrant visa status from 5 years multiple entry to 3 months single entry, meant that Ghanaians issued with those visas had within 3 months to travel to the U.S. That's what it says. Okay. So this also implies that any of the non-immigrant visas granted to any Ghanaian becomes invalid if he or she, upon receiving the visas, fail to travel to the U.S. within the stated period, according to the new policy, Mr. Olsen explained. When you get a visa, I know if you don't travel within that period, it expires, okay? And within that period of 3 months, I think it's a single entry too, so it's not a multiple entry. Sometimes you can take a visa, which is like 6 months visa, do like 5 trips, or you take 3 months, you can do like 5 or 10 trips on business. This time they say, no, when you take it all the way 3 months, it's a single entry. So you can't do more than 1 entry into the country with that visa. So the 3 months, is gone. If you want to go again, after that, you have to take another visa. That is what it says. So please, this is the new visa policy for those of you who want to travel to the United States of America. That'll be all for the Daily Graphic newspaper. Oh, we should talk a bit about the presidential jet. I think that one too, people have been speaking about it. But we are also saying that we need our own airline. And this is something that we've been advocating right here on Prime Morning. We plead with the president to give us our own airline as a country. And yes, we are talking about the presidential jet as much as we want a bigger and better presidential jet because we believe that our leaders deserve better. We also think that as a country, we need to get our own airline. Also, presidential jet grounded, air travel worthiness uncertain. Ghana's presidential jet has been grounded at the Dassault Falcon service facility in Le Bourget, France, for 4 months due to what has been described as massive wear and tear issues. The current state of the Dassault Falcon 900 EX EasyJet include fuel tank contamination, the turbofan engine problems, and other vital component sources, which engineers say put it at risk of engine failure during flight. Okay. Now, if you put it at risk, of course, it has to be grounded because you don't want a situation whereby your president is flying and you hear that, ooh, there's a plane crash or something. You know, the crash that happened in India not too long ago, it was due to engine failure. And so, yes, it's worth that it will be grounded and it will be fixed. If possible, I don't know, maybe they'll make a decision on whether to purchase a new one or fix it. But as Ghanaians, definitely we'll get the information and we'll bring it to your doorstep. Let's do the Economy Times newspaper next. The Economy Times newspaper. Ghana's Central Securities Depository undergoes major upgrade. New investor portal allows real-time access to investors' portfolio data. Digital asset firms given August 15 deadline to register with BOG, and government to recapitalize ADB by 2026 to support agricultural revolution agenda. That will be it for the Economy Times newspaper. Let's do the Ghanaian Publisher newspaper next. The Ghanaian Publisher. Oh, I like the story already. Emmanuel rides bicycle from Germany to Accra. I'm interested in this one. Very, very interested in it because if Emmanuel is riding from Germany to Accra, how many days will it take Emmanuel to get to Ghana? And what is the reason? So maybe I should just probe a bit into it. And let's see. Okay, so Emmanuel Ajay, a Ghanaian-born resident in Munich, Germany, is undertaking an epic 10,000-kilometer cycling adventure from Munich to Accra to raise funds in support of education in his hometown, Teshi, and across rural Ghana. Oh, that's nice. The charity project, dubbed Bike to My Roots, okay, is Mr. J's €100,000 solo cycling fundraiser to support EduSport, a local NGO working to create access to quality education in underserved areas. Wow. This is good. I think that Emmanuel needs to be commended for this and he needs to be applauded. If you can support, let's all support because this is a good one. And he's raising funds for his community where he grew up, Teshi, and other rural areas as well. More stories here. Yamin Abanga behind illegal task force miners, however, to reject allegations. Minority to Mahama, acts now or bear Ablekuma blood. Now, this happened over the weekend, last week, Friday, where Ablekuma North went to the polls. And of course, we heard of some violence. The minority is not too happy about it. And they are saying that John Dramani Mahama, who is the president of Ghana, should act now or he will bear Ablekuma blood. Baba Sam to High Court nullified Nana J's illegally obtained court order. And that will be all for the Ghanaian Publisher newspaper. The final newspaper is the Ghanaian Times newspaper. The Ghanaian Times. President directs 2 ministers to address unapproved port charges. Now, this one, it caught a lot of attention yesterday. I think that I'm even interested in it. For those of you who have been importing goods to Ghana, hooray, this is good news. This is good news. President John Dramani Mahama has described as illegal, any levy being charged at Ghana's ports not backed by law, directing that all fees and charges imposed by shipping lines unlawfully be presented to Parliament for approval. Mr. Mahama said the legislative action would eliminate the unapproved administrative charges and promote transparency in the freight industry. And this is what the freight industry, they've been asking for. Sometimes you are clearing a good, and some of the charges, you ask yourself, where is it coming from? So if you look at the main charge, it's something small. Then they'll add this, they'll add that. Go and pay this one, go and pay that one. Now it's all illegal. It's all illegal. And if it's not approved by Parliament, they'll deal with you. And I'm happy about it, very, very happy. I know I'm not the only one who is happy about it. Everyone who is importing goods to Ghana is happy because it's just too much. You know, you import the goods, you should be able to clear, you have the money. But those charges will not even let you have the money. So you go there, your money is not enough. This is good news. Anyway, Government Accountability Series, Interior Minister takes turn today. Don't sideline me. Kufuor slams party's lack of engagement. And President Kufuor, in an interview, did say that if they are looking for anybody who is an elder in the party, that's the NPP party, he is an elder. And so his voice ought to be heard. He shouldn't be sidelined. Well, some people agree with him, others to say, no, you are not being sidelined, you are just crying foul. But he actually is somebody that the party should take a listen to, especially losing the Ablekuma North seat. Not the best for the NPP party after 29 years of ruling in that constituency. How did they lose it? It's a question for the gods, because it's big. But can they claim it back? Well, it's another question for the gods. More stories here. Aubin secures historic victory for NDC in Ablekuma North. And that will be it for the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Let me see. I think some of the stories, some of the newspapers actually do carry some sports stories. If we have some sports, okay. We are not seeing too much of sports today. All right, okay, some sports here. Memphis Depay boycotts Corinthians training over unpaid $1 million debt. Kunedu Yadom joins Hapo, Kafa, Saba. And, when they are mentioning their country names and all of that, as for the football, it's only Nathaniel Adol who can actually mention them. But anyway, that'll be all for the newspapers. And this is proudly brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise, still and still phone Papa Perfie. Now, if you're joining us today, it's going to be quite interesting and quite different from the norm that you are used to, because we are going to take a look at how the NDC has absolute majority in Parliament. What will they use this for? Is a question that we are asking. And so today we are going to focus on Ablekuma North and what that single seat means to a Ghanaian, especially our democracy, because we say we are a democratic country. And so we are asking ourselves, how does it work? Take a look at this report.
The rerun of parliamentary elections in the orphan Ablekuma North constituency was anything but calm. What was expected to be a peaceful electoral process quickly descended into chaos. Violence marred the exercise from the onset. Former Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture, Ewurabena, was assaulted by thugs at the Methodist Church, Odoko 1 polling center.
Yes. Now, how Kumsen is on the floor? That is what is happening here right now. That is what you can see inside. You can get a closer look. The doors are locked, but that is what you can see here.
Shortly after, Deputy Organizer of the NPP, Chris Asamoah, was also physically assaulted. Journalists were not spared. A Joy News reporter was assaulted in line of duty. A reporter from GH1 TV was also attacked, while another from ATV was left gasping for air after pepper spray filled the polling area. The Ghana Journalists Association has since condemned the attacks on media personnel.
But we demand an immediate, thorough, and transparent criminal investigation into this matter. Since it's a case of assault. Assault is a second-degree felony. We Inspector General of Police, IGP, Christian Tetenyolu, to act and ensure that swift and decisive disciplinary action is taken to serve as deterrent to others.
Police say investigations are underway. Beyond the violence, accusations of vote buying also surfaced. Both the NPP and NDC traded blame, accusing each other of inducing voters.
Brana Champo donated 200,000. Baumia donated 400,000. Now they are donating presidential camps. So I won't be surprised they are sharing. But as for us, we are stabilizing the economy. We don't have money to share. We have goodwill messages to give. They say they are not participating in the election. They told all of us. So I don't see why they are here. Where are their principles?
You saw the reports going around yesterday about the Jubilee House bringing 10 million into their constituency for just 19 police stations, 10 million. This morning, there's a video on one of your sister stations where the gentleman was asked after he finished voting what happened. And then he said he's received 100 cedis from the NDC candidate to come and vote. He's on record. In fact, I'm actually pushing that video to the OSP because he's the one that's arresting people for vote buying. Ask him. The gentleman said he received Momo, and this can be verified.
The Ghana Integrity Initiative raised concerns that such practices continue to undermine public trust in Ghana's electoral process.
So if people would use inducements to continue to lure voters, I think that this is something the parties themselves should condemn. And history has even taught us that the electorates are even becoming wiser. You know, if you look at what happened in Asimfosu, where a lot of money was displaced, voters were still able to defend and voted with their conscience and not the inducement.
Despite the tension, the Electoral Commission insists the rerun was necessary to uphold electoral integrity. But for residents of Ablekuma North, the day left more questions than answers about the state of democracy. The rerun of parliamentary elections in the orphan Ablekuma North constituency was anything but calm. What was expected to be a peaceful electoral process quickly descended into chaos. Violence marred the exercise from the onset. Former Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture, Ewurabena, was assaulted by thugs at the Methodist Church, Odoko 1 polling center.
Yes. Now, how Kumsen is on the floor? That is what is happening here right now. That is what you can see inside. You can get a closer look. The doors are locked, but that is what you can see here.
Shortly after, Deputy Organizer of the NPP, Chris Asamoah, was also physically assaulted. Journalists were not spared. A Joy News reporter was assaulted in line of duty.
Newsflash is brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. Still, fun papa fee.
What happened on Friday at Ablekuma North. And now, as it stands now, the NDC has snatched the seat from the NPP after 29 years. This means that the NDC has absolute majority in Parliament. What does it mean? And now let's take a look at what it says here. We are looking at key numbers for parliamentary procedures and number of members here. So to have a quorum, you need 92 members to have a quorum. Now, passing ordinary bills will mean, so if it says 92, then it means that anytime decisions are being made, 92 members of Parliament must be present. Passing ordinary bills, you need 138 persons, members of Parliament, in Parliament at that time to vote to pass ordinary bill. When it comes to constitutional amendment, we need 184. Now, as it stands now, the NDC has absolute majority. They have 185 in Parliament. And so the NPP, during campaign at Ablekuma North, did tell people that if you give the power to the NDC, what's going to happen is that they could change the constitution. Now, this is what they say. But can that happen? For that to happen, of course, there should be a trigger in constitutional review. What does it mean to Ghana's democracy as it stands now? And joining us via Zoom this morning, we have... Okay, so we'll be going on Zoom very soon to be joined by Dr. Sa. So he'll be joining us pretty shortly for us to delve into that conversation because we have a lot of questions to ask. And I know you at home, you have a lot of questions to ask as well, looking at the majority, absolute majority in Parliament. Now, this is not the first time the NDC is getting an absolute majority in Parliament. It happened in 1992 and it's happening for the second time. In 1992, what did they do with absolute majority in Parliament? Nothing. That's what people say, nothing. Will they do something with it this time round? Will the story be different? Dr. Kwame Asante will join us and explain more to us. But before then, let me read a few messages coming in. Those of you who have sent in your early bird message, let's read them. And we do start with, oh, wow, 6:15. We had a first message coming in at 6:15. All right. This one says, Ade Minka Party Nuhubium, former President Kufuor laments, but you brought that to yourself when you openly supported Bawumia against others. Patrick Accra, good morning. I adore your show. I'm now relieved that Ghanaians no longer simply wake up and obey politicians. Ghanaians back President Mahama in whatever he decides to accomplish as long as the people of the nation are living in peace and harmony. The NPP must realize that Ghanaians, not the NDC or NPP, are now the focus of Ghanaian politics. If Ghanaians' circumstances improve in 3 years, Mahama will be sworn in for a third term. Long live Ghana. Do you also want President John Dramani Mahama to be sworn in for a third term? Wow. All right, the NPP seems to be in the world of illusion for thinking that President Mahama will run a third term using the absolute majority without knowing that, number one, there are others in the NDC who are equally eyeing the presidency. Two, even if the president performs very well to win the heart of the citizenry, Easter World will definitely use the greedy Ghanaians to topple him as it had been done to Nkrumah, Gaddafi, and Thomas Sankara, Chief Kuzagbe Dansuman. Well, that could be true because people get tired when you rule for too long. Good morning, Joy Prime. It's clear that the media, including you, are biased against NPP. Are you sure, boss? How sure are you? Why are you saying this? Let me read why you're saying this. Are you also benefiting from the huge? No, we are not. Your pusher. Okay, so Mawena, I don't know where this is coming from. It says your pusher exposed you this morning, so you think NDC won Ablekuma North genuinely? Oh, you don't think they did win genuinely? All right, fair enough. That's your opinion. Thank you so much. Good morning, Roslyn. It seems no media house is interested in the fact that the 58 million was not used to dig a hole regarding the National Cathedral. This hypocrisy must stop. Discuss it just as you did prior to 2024 elections. Ike, Koforidua Ike, once it comes up, we'll definitely discuss it. Good morning, Roslyn. Inusa Sulemana, let the truth echo without fear or filters. Electoral violence in Ghana did not begin with Ayawaso West Wuogon, and it certainly won't end in Ablekuma North. From Tripoli to Talensi, Atiwa to Ekwetia, this country has seen blood spilled in the name of democracy long before Ayawaso ever happened. Those who now pretend that Ayawaso was the beginning and that Ablekuma is merely a response are not speaking truth. They are pushing a convenient narrative that ignores the full rot. It's hypocritical and frankly insulting for voices like Martin Pegbu to treat Ayawaso as the genesis of our electoral shame. What about Tripoli? What about Talensi? What about the violent rerun in Akwetia in 2009? Were those peaceful tea parties, or do they not matter because they didn't fit the current political script? Selective memory is not justice, it's dishonesty, and those who claim to defend democracy while justifying violence, depending on who the victim is, are not patriots. They are part of the problem. Ayawaso was not the beginning and Ablekuma is not the end. If we continue to trade violence as if it's where political currency, then Akwetia is next. The battle line is already drawn and history is watching, and I condemn that Akwetia is next. We need to start advocating for peace during elections, because if we don't, it will get to a time, it will be only the politicians who go and vote. Because if I know that I go on the grounds and I'm not safe, trust me, I am not going to cast my vote. And so we need to keep pushing peace. Let's advocate for peace. Akwetia is not going to be next. We need to advocate for peace. But I do admire the message that you have sent this morning, letting us know that we need to stop it. Thank you so much. Good morning to you. The assault on journalists poses a direct threat to democracy. Journalists serve as watchdogs, holding those in power accountable and providing citizens with accurate information. For instance, when police officers resort to violence against journalists, it sends a chilling message that dissent will not be tolerated. Okay. Okay, I'm going to try and get more information for you. Thank you. This was evident in recent years when various journalists have faced intimidation while covering political events. A strong democracy relies on the free flow of information, and any attempt to suppress this undermines its foundation. The Ghanaian Constitution guarantees freedom of speech and expression, making such assaults not only morally reprehensible, but also legally indefensible. Aaron Bebako Kokomisa. I'll take one last message and then I go on Zoom. Emma Etiwa West, NDC reset agenda is to be substituted with rather retaliatory agenda, looking at what happened at Ablekuma North elections. Leaders of NDC should bring their violent members to order to avoid chaos and bloodshed in the next by-election, which is likely to occur in Akwetia. Thank you so much. And I like the fact that as citizens, we are all advocating for peace. Peace is all we need at this point. We don't need any chaos. We don't need violence. We are just going out there to vote for people who will make decisions for us in Parliament. So why the fight? Do we need it at this time? No, we don't need it at this time. What we need is peace. Now, this morning, I'll start my conversation with Dr. Kwame Asante, and he is a senior political scientist at the University of Ghana. Good morning, Doc. All right, okay, so we'll try and get Doc joining us. But for those of you who just joined us today, we are taking a look at how the NDC can use or take advantage of the 185 seats in Parliament, the absolute majority they have in Parliament. I did say earlier that in 1992, they got it. But what did they use with it? In the year 2025, they have it again. Can they do something? The NPP were campaigning that if they get it, they will change the constitution to enable President John Dramani Mahama run for a third term. They can, but if only they trigger a constitutional review, will they do it? Or they will decide not to do it. But then, with this absolute majority, what does it mean to Ghana's democracy? Of course, today, that's what we are going to fixate our conversation on. Make sure you send us a message on 055-157-5757, 055-157-5757. Let's have a wholesome conversation. You can leave your comments also on Facebook as we stream live, which is Joy Prime TV. We'll also be joined by Dr. Rashid Draman, who is an executive director at Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, and Justice Abdullahi, who is a constitutional lawyer and a senior lecturer at UPSA Faculty of Law. Now, KMJ will be at Ablekuma to be speaking with the constituents. How does this mean, or what does this mean to them? How does it affect them positively? We hear from them. And also, Kweku Asante, who is a parliamentary affairs correspondent, will also join us and tell us how it's happening in Parliament, or what the mood in Parliament is like with regards to the NDC winning or having absolute majority in Parliament. Ewurabena is the Member of Parliament-elect for Ablekuma North constituency, and she went on the ticket of the NDC. Okay, so we have Dr. Kwame Asante joining us on Zoom. Good morning, Doc. Doc, please put your camera on for us. Hello, Doc. Kindly unmute for us, please.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well. And yourself?
I'm fine, thank you, Doc. Now, the NDC has absolute majority in Parliament as it stands now. Is this a great test for Ghana's democracy?
Certainly it is, because you want to have a Parliament that is checked by a strong opposition. If you look at the current state of the opposition, that they had 88, and then with the demise of one of their members, you have 87 now. Then they've lost this one too. So you realize that their figures keep dwindling. That tells you that from the word go, opposition, Parliament is weak in the sense that you have a very weak opposition, and that if care is not taken, with the current absolute majority of the majority, they are going to walk over them and take all decisions and all that. If this is not checked properly, it can also have a certain negative effect on the governance of this country.
Right. Now, as you said, it could also have a negative effect on the governance of this country. But then again, you know, NDC, this seat is not theirs. The NPP could have claimed it easily. Is this a surprise that the NPP has lost that seat after 29 years?
NPP fell on its own dagger. Why am I saying that? The decision that we are not contesting against the last minute U-turn that the candidate was contesting obviously created a problem. If you look at all that transpired, in spite of all the ugly spectacle of violence and all that, you realize that the NPP candidate put in a lot of performance. If you look at it from the point of view that the vote that separated them were 209, then you realize that if NPP had said that they were going full hog, the story would have been different. That said, it tells you that NPP was in disarray as to how they wanted to, prosecute that agenda, whilst the party's position was that we are going to court and that we are not going to be part of this process. There were some section of the people who believed that they had to go. Obviously, that will come from very strong quarters of the party, because otherwise, how can NEC, which is one of the powerful institutions within the party, makes a decision and an ordinary member would just jettison that and go ahead and stand in the name of the party? It tells you that there were strong, powerful people who were behind her, and that caused it. So for me, if you look at what transpired, they caused their own defeat.
Will you then say that she erred in going against the party's decision?
It's a very difficult one. It's a very difficult, because there's somebody who has invested and has gone through election. The election was not conclusive, and obviously we want to see the end of the process. So from where I sit, I thought that the party will look at it differently than the decision that they took. So that was a difficulty. But that aside, one of the things that also work against them is the fact that if you look at the constituency, and you know the constituency very well, the constituency has been left to rot, has been left to idle without any much development for 8 years. And this is your stronghold. And normally, this is very characteristic of parties and their strongholds. They believe that come what may, any time, any day, you can rely on your stronghold and they can deliver. This time around, they have shocked them. In fact, they received a real shock. So I believe it should be a learning for the NPP that next time if you have a constituency that you claim is your strong constituency, you provide the resources that they need, you care for them, you do the needful. Recently, I traveled to Kumasi and I saw the road network and I said that I could understand why people refuse to vote because it doesn't make sense to anybody that you claim Ashanti region is your stronghold and this is the road that they use in that area. It's unfortunate. It's purely unfair to them. So obviously, people will begin to stay away from elections and you will see the consequence.
Now, talking about that, you know, the NDC has claimed this seat after 29 years. What can they do to consolidate the seat?
Obviously, you need to provide the needs of the people. They need infrastructure development in that area. And this, the Constitution makes it abundantly clear that any government that is in office should provide for all. Every section of this country should have its fair share of the national development. They need that. They need to also work very hard to improve the fortunes of the people. That means that they should make the economy better so that people can earn means of livelihood. And above all, they should be a listening government, a government that is prepared to listen and then take decisions based on people's suggestions, people's input, and the rest of them. If they want to go that route where they want to be arrogant, where they want to look down upon people, they will have their fingers bent.
So politically, what does this mean to Ghana's democracy?
It means a lot. That yes, this is the first time you have a government with absolute majority. Yes, it tells you that if the government is serious and is thinking about this country, he can take decision and will be able to marshal all the forces to support it.
But Doc, this is not the first time, is it? Because in 1992, when the NPP decided to boycott, the NDC had absolute majority in Parliament.
Yes. They had about 198 against 200, two independent candidates. That's true. But we are saying that this power, when you have it, you should be able to use it wisely. And then so that you make it better, you create a better life for people. And then you should not also use the power capriciously. This means that consensus is always critical. It doesn't matter how small the minority is. You need them at all times. So you judge all, you sit down, you dialogue, and you are able to build a better society for ourselves. That said, there are weaknesses, right? If you look at it against the backdrop that quorum, they need about 92. And with their numbers, they can walk over the minority. If you look at it against the backdrop that you can make constitutional changes, certain provisions which are not entrenched, you can go to town with it by amending them. And if you go on that route, obviously, you are going to undermine the whole constitution and the whole system. People are talking about the third term agenda, where they believe that the NDC will make an attempt to change the constitution for the president to be able to run for the third time. They will not try this. Right. They will not try it because this society will not accept it. And John Mahama is too experienced, too wise to be caught by this trap. There are examples all over Africa, and that has created all manner of problems for the country. I'm not sure he wants that to happen here. Remember, this is his legacy era. He should be able to leave something that will remain indelible in the minds of people. And so walking on that route, that will create disaffection, will create problems for the society. He is too wise and too experienced to be able to cut in that way.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Asa Asante. I'll be coming back to you, have more conversations with you. But we've been joined by Dr. Rashid Draman, who is Executive Director at Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. How about you?
I'm doing well, by God's grace, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, so now the NDC has absolute majority in Parliament. What does this mean for them and for Ghana at large?
So, what it means for NDC is simply that it is good for NDC, but this is potentially dangerous for our democracy. And I say potentially dangerous in the sense that if the absolute majority is not used for the business of our country, it's going to set back some of the gains that we have made over the years, particularly the gains that resulted from the hung parliament, where we saw at least some negotiations, gridlock many times, but negotiations and compromise on a number of key issues. With this absolute majority, if it is not used wisely, if it is used to push a partisan agenda and not a national agenda, then we are going to be in trouble.
Hello?
As a democrat.
All right, so we are trying so hard to get the network to be a bit stable. Of course, the weather is not the very best, and so sometimes this happens. You can keep your messages coming in on 055-157-5757, 055-157-5757. You can also join us on Facebook as we're streaming live and leave your comments there. It's Joy Prime TV. You can leave your comment there, but don't forget to hit the share button. Let everybody on your timeline enjoy the conversation. And today we are talking about the NDC having an absolute majority in Parliament. What does it mean to them and to Ghana at large? Now, with absolute majority, we have said to you that they need a 92 for a quorum. And with regards to that, some decisions could be made without even the minority in Parliament. So Dr. Draman is back. Good morning once again.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
All right, so you were making a point and then the line went off.
Oh, sorry. So I was just simply saying that the majority is good for NDC. I mean, we have never seen this in our country, in our democracy. But I said it's potentially dangerous for our democracy. And potentially dangerous simply because if the NDC uses the majority for partisan political gain rather than national, to pursue the national interest, then our democracy is going to face some setback. And I was just making some reference to the fact that in the 8th Parliament, agree or not, we saw some gains because I've been monitoring and working with our Parliament for more than 2 decades. And for the first time in the 8th Parliament, I saw some of what Parliament can do, particularly when it came to issues of financial oversight, the role in the budget, and so on. True, there was a lot of gridlock, but that gridlock sometimes forced negotiation and forced some dialogue and forced some compromise. We are likely not to see that in this 9th Parliament, particularly given what you have just said, that they can simply form the quorum to take decisions, I mean, without the minority. They can do whatever they want to do. I mean, if there was a walkout today, the NDC, particularly if they are able to mobilize their members to be present, because sometimes that's another issue. because, I mean, despite the significant majority, we have seen an empty chamber a number of times. So if they are present, they can take whatever decision that they want to take, especially if they are not mindful about, I mean, its implications for our democracy. In this regard, what I mean is, if they are not mindful of the fact that, I mean, most of the decisions will be seen as one-sided, because we don't want, even if the party has a significant majority, for decisions to be taken just by one side of the house. I mean, it becomes a dent on our democracy.
Right.
So all in all, good for the NDC, but potentially dangerous for our country if, I mean, those numbers are not used for the national interest.
So how will this affect parliamentary business?
I think, like I said earlier, in the past, in the 8th Parliament, I think we've seen instances where it was very difficult for parliamentary business to be carried out. I mean, we've seen instances where things have been stopped for headcounts to take place because when decisions are being made, people challenge those decisions in terms of the fact that they did not believe that the numbers that were being announced were actually the numbers that were in the House and so on. Today, I think in this 9th Parliament, that challenge does not exist. Once the leadership of the party is able to get the caucus to be present, I think simply a lot of business can be carried out without any hindrance. But again, I have to go back to what I said earlier. I think they have to be mindful of the fact that, you know, this majority must be used for the interests of our country. And for the minority, I think we have already seen their activism despite their reduced number. And so in any democracy, you know, the business of oversight, the business of holding the government to account usually rests squarely with the minority or the opposition. So we want to see a very active minority. It's not about numbers. I think it's all about making sure that they are faithful to the Constitution, they are faithful to the standing orders, and I believe they can carry Ghanaians along and they can really hold the government.
Right. Okay, Doc.
As the numbers might be overwhelming for them in terms of... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, the network was a bit... So I thought you were done. That's what I was going to ask. But please finish before I come in.
No, I was just saying that whilst the numbers might be overwhelming for them in terms of the fact that they have a diminished kind of size in the House, I mean, they still can play the role that is expected of them by Ghanaians in terms of holding the government to account. And that's what we expect. So we are going to count on them. We cannot count on the NDC to hold itself to account. I think that's the reality in every parliament.
Right.
We might see maybe one or two people breaking ranks with the party. You know, we are yet to see that. But by and large, that business of holding the government of the day to account, I think is the business of the minority party.
How should the NDC deal with complacency? Because as it stands now, they have the absolute majority and complacency could set in.
Yes, indeed. I think it has already set in because sometimes you look at the numbers in the House and you'd expect that with a huge supermajority, at least we should always have a quorum. Many times the House failed to muster a quorum and the business of the House has had to be adjourned. And I think that those were the beginnings of, symptoms of complacency setting in. They attend the House, I think, in their own interest, and absent themselves, I think, at the peril of creating an impression that, the majority that Ghanaians handed them is a majority that they're going to misuse. So I think if I was to advise the leaders, I would say, they should not take the fact that the NDC, the NPP has a small number for granted. I think they have to show up in the House at all times. Otherwise, they are going to create an impression that, they are taking Ghanaians for granted. Because if you have this kind of huge number, there's no reason why there shouldn't be a quorum in the House at any given time.
We know the minority has been very active in recent times. Will their activeness be able to yield any results?
Yes, indeed. I think that's that's where we want them to be, and that's what we want them to be doing. Despite their small number, I think if they focus on making sure that, particularly the new members, they should understand their role. First of all, they should understand the standing orders from back to back. They should understand the Constitution. And I think with those, I believe they can uphold the key democratic norms of our country by ensuring that the majority, the supermajority, plays by the book. The government of the day plays by the book. Like I said, it's not just simply about numbers. And that's why the NDC needs to be careful here. They might have the numbers, but if a small minority group is better prepared, I think their supermajority could be exposed every step of the way.
All right. Dr. Asa Asante, if you could join us for this conversation, I just want to ask you a few questions. I want to know, Dr. Dramani has actually said that if the minority is very active, they could put the majority on their toes. But the majority, they have absolute majority, and one will say they will make decisions even without the minority. Do you agree with what he has said so far?
Oh, certainly. Otherwise, if we go by that logic, we say that then the minority should not be in parliament because their numbers would mean nothing. However small the numbers is, they are supposed to be there and hold government accountable and play the oversight role. Issues can come to the floor and they will not have, if it comes to voting, obviously they will lose out. But their voices will be heard. Their position on the matter will be heard. And that precedent will be set for future parliaments to follow. So I believe strongly, sometimes even a few people can start something and government will listen. You and I know that sometimes even outside parliament, people make noise and the whole parliament will listen. So it is important that they continue to play the role that we expect them to play and play it well. Look at Burton. You saw there were problems here and there. But on a good day, you saw Afenyo Markin and his team. They live up to expectation. They pose the right questions. They challenge the status quo and make sure that we had the best glean out of the people for purposes of governance and all that. This is the spirit behind parliamentary work. And we expect them to continue to do it without fear or favor. It doesn't matter. Remember in 1993, where they were not in parliament, I'm talking about opposition boycott, they were fighting outside the parliament and making all manner of suggestions and all that. Some found expression in the work of parliament and all that. That is it.
So far, you did mention Honorable Afenyo Markin, who is a leader of minority, he being vocal. What do you make of his posture? Is it going to be of good use for the NPP?
I know, the way I know him, he will not change, and he shouldn't change. He should continue to hold government feet to the heat of accountability. And I expect him to do more of that. Of course, with the support of his colleagues, they should be able to create that atmosphere where consensus will be built, where suggestions will be offered, where dialogue will become the order of the day. And at the end of the day, we expect that we get nothing but what? The best.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Kwame Asante. We want to cross over to Odoko Transport Station as KMJ is there. But Dr. Draman and Dr. Asante, please don't go because we'll be coming to you to have more conversations. But we want to go to Ablekuma North as KMJ is on standby at Odoko Transport Station.
Friday, so many things will be running through your mind, and from the processes to when we eventually got to find who will represent this very constituency. There have been chaos, there have been calm, there have been everything that you expected. But of course, it's a Monday and people are going about their daily activities. But the question that we're still asking is, are the people very excited about what happened last Friday? Are they happy that they now have a representation when it comes to the parliament and what they can also do, or whoever that is going to Parliament will be able to do for them? Now, don't forget that we already have the NDC parliamentary candidates being the person that will be going to represent them in Parliament, and that's Honorable Oben. But let's find out from the people on the ground after Friday and a Monday morning like this, what is going through their minds. How are they taking the entire situation that happened last Friday? What are their expectations of the new person that will be taking charge of the parliamentary, matters when it comes to representing them as a constituency? We're going to be talking to a few people here. We are here at one of the stations here at Ablekuma North, and I've got a few people that I want to talk to and find out from them what their expectations are like in terms of moving into the entire situation that we actually experienced last Friday, and also getting into Parliament to represent them. Boss, good morning.
Morning.
Hope you're good.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay.
Make it look at.
Oh, no problem. Last Friday elections now will have baby and
man, but I'm around.
Into who the course me
who be
say no say who will be represent more Parliament.
Me pa. Na nipa no so nyano nyame adu nya nipa papa obeboa constituency no, because ahana ya wo yen wo ya tena hafiti 92 na NDC NPP for anko Parliament no NDC kwa na edi nya off town street lights na dia munya light di ko ho. Since then MP ni fit na 96 kwamna ba test be take over no yenya bibi papa krabium wo hwe areas na nema ye basa nti nyame adum sese ende na yenya Ewurabena obi no mitumi say obeboa constituency no nti yeda nyame ase so say we yi nipa sa amayen nti mombia ensheki sene abano no yebenya nipa papa wa be represent here ye ni problem bia e wa Ablekuma North because ya ble almost so many years da one side nti we take care for granted say we mo see who the aponchi crab gina na the NPP policy say ne kon ho a
sana na moka
no sana mo ka say ne just
NPP for na ka na say for no mo amen
NPP for no mo ka say who the aponchi crab gina na the NPP policy good no ho a obewini
and sana mo ya the papa nti na mo vote mo
ne just o take say nipa sabi nipa o ha no mo ndwin because sabi utumi can't hear nipa say who the aponchi crab gina na who the NPP policy good no ho a obewini and just say one more constituency no sabi who take you for dia opa bia na do mo ye well nti say no nyame aduma yenya ni papa party say Ewurabena say there in say constituency ano nyama be yi aman because kwambi na da echi ho no mu ofa market ana asorobi da for fit down we kono kwamna ba test time nyame boa ya sa time na NDC be fisu no ho no mu ye sen ka mo ye kwan no na kwamna ba ye be ye di me unsa menga pokomaja o kanon kremo pokomaja e di nantisu kwani na smooth e was said di kota keke gusu no nanka no masa be pim nde kwani tutu ni dina san e basa nti san MPP de o mo ntumi mboa ye nti e da nyame asese we yi di papa maye.
Okay all right, so he's just saying that they are very happy and they are grateful to God for giving them the right person to represent them in Parliament, which is Ewurabena Obeng. Now he also goes on to say that since the time that NPP took over this constituency, they have never seen anything good. In fact, some people have even ridiculed them that if they bring even the goats to represent the constituency and they put an NPP flag in the neck of of the goat. There's definitely going to be that NPP person, that goat that will be representing them in Parliament. And that has changed, and they are very happy that situation has changed. I'm still speaking to a few people now. Station Master is here. Let me engage him a bit too and find out what he also thinks. Station Master is saying,
fine.
You are doing. I said, when you might say, but what's I down? And they see you last Friday, when you're Joanna.
Oh, me? Actually, no. On say, yeah, child here for 6 months. I own ye beer. Say, and you would. And he said, Yamia, Dumama, MP. Yadanyamiasi. Na a chakra me from day one, election, if you are near course. This is a severe crowd, the whole constituency, yes, and vote for. And to me, see, yeah, Baba, some selected polling stations now. Rerun, now, I say, how I say, you were constituency to Ablekuma North, we here development. Now you're near MP or Parliament. Very bad. Oh, and you can't say, now me, and I'm doing Friday, I can vote to you, MP. And you expect to say MP now, Banoso. Oba meshe na on development on bwana Ablekuma North yes yon koye me say o share Ablekuma North krona o share me station ha nso to sesi a baby agyan yentime gyan ha ya hia say MP be ba be boy enti se na ya nya ya MP no me feel say ya dia e be boy nyina.
Now, expectations to me say very, very high, because senior workers say munya development one and a movie say Ewurabena open a nipa no munena na no matcha obet me abu amanya sa development na open.
So see any natural ha cha ye nim no ha aha no also na onye MP afi na wa be MP enti expect say obey adwuma no ama Ablekuma North anya ni tamapa afra ye wo gidi wo no so obey adwuma no.
Now, see, I'm say, Moen Picasso or Popeso Bisa, Adiabako, Adawakuma Sopa, so co Parliamentary, I need a Mopeso or Yamamua, near the end.
Well, Ablekuma North.
That's right.
On the baby, we share your rules, maybe I mean to say.
Damakuma Sopa, I know your roots, no. And I make us say, we shall Ablekuma North ha, to your rules. Ne a high, and it got test nadi, a high, a how Ablekuma North, Hapa. And he said, or bar, or Mebuana, on share your rules, no do am I. And here. Titu. Okay. All right, but that's Papa.
Yeah, baby, I will be over far road. So, it's a hospital, Cranosi Hospital. Without road, no better now hospital. And it's a road in the okay, if we say Yakano, and Usbe.
Okay. Okay. All right, but that's the station master. Okay, so that's the station master over here at chairman.
Odoko main branch chairman.
Oh, Odoko main branch chairman. Yeah. Okay. Odoko main branch GPRTU.
You know, Odoko of Shatan. You know, Odoko of Shatan.
And then more out.
That's it.
Okay, and that's some conversation we're having with people over here, the residents of Ablekuma North, and they're telling us their experience after the elections and the aftermath. Now, he's been talking about development as well, and it looks like almost every one of them, feels that the person they needed is the one that is actually representing them now. But of course, there's going to be a lot of expectations from Ewurabena, because a lot of people believe that they have not really had that development that they needed all these years. And so if she's taking the mandate as the one that is representing them in Parliament, then indeed she has a lot of work to do. But let me still engage a few more people. So I'm good morning.
Good morning.
Yo, you talk about last Friday now.
I know. They be me to be me to other side. Apostolic 1B na me to. We almost to praise be. It's meant to be.
Until now, monitor kakra.
Monitor.
Their course no sign our
Oh, had the confusion be just say almost started about na almost two sorry than inside like on my apata shelter be almost to a bit. Now almost said no, the ballot have to come out. Into a more of a canopy, ABC normally ballot in the PA. No to a better had a confusion BNC wa.
Maybe because you who never videos be winning time I quest Ablekuma North aji Dimboni big across want me and your election see coming out there.
Yeah, this is the first time because who's the first like misunderstand I say confusion about and free voters no say but we a police officer now Sebi Bibinti or Tony Sano and second one we how a commissioner of different constituency by a mass confusion about. So apart from that, it seems skirmish by normal. Apart from Sanyo Mami, who say confusion be by, so to me a fair election. Yes, a Sanyo Mami, which in free voters and NASA Ablekuma for. Yes, that the journalists and the police officer they are different thing. Then how I could be, I don't know what or can I man. A provoking for a man or more years idea, and that's what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we know and they are not more expected. We need to also MP Ewurabena.
Oh, for the first time in I think 28 years, if I'm 29 may stand to be corrected. Yeah. When say elections need MPP. First time in this year, I'm saying NPP uncontested. I think yeah. Into way now I think a competition, but be to me at the development because I one-sided that. Obiaba, I say, excuse me to use this language, so-called MPP stronghold. Into Ombet now, so I don't feel like say election time so they just must go more for street light neon can home. Or my feel portals be not the say yeah because they say they are MPP stronghold. But this time NDC so afano. Ebema sabi obasune 1 year you be voted because now we are this descendant people say and you say party A or party B NDC MPP here development into NDC abano it's very good na ensure no so ejuma be better hope so be ejuma because here na a change and a change now ba. Yeah.
First thing I want to come so say be our MP call Parliamentary on can want some Ablekuma North na here.
First of all you need I think government hospital, say polyclinic. But Matiso CB, but still maybe if it may be true, but Sanka operative very effectively. So yes, why Ablekuma North no, your health activities no, why. Secondly, some road networks. Some road networks are mobile traffic no about down Ablekuma North. And a third one, Yemwa youth and the women in general in terms of businesses marketing. Is it Women's Development Bank? Seba Kayamwa Umbano any youth no so obey say obema jumebi abahana youth ni omenye biaye na mbano so sebi omonye hire ebema sebi efie aju me say your shops may employ at least 3 workers or minimum year juma me mobile money me ton lubricant any honeyman which me feel say because me work about like or film in channel or nursing school where me I was very happy but I police or the I'm in danger man vote I think voter region me who am many or buy or say we school or say boss me 7 years man that time now the person nursing offensive or training in kakra so also police nti ema me who am manage say me so afa me so na because manji na call different place na life quite different thing na me who am be ha me so person youth no nya ejuma ye ehama excuse me nkasa Ablekuma North be in general drugs no adoso among the youth so if it will be possible on share say ejuma bi beba be push youth ni kakra e dey akom at least any I think this thing fancy handicraft in juma say at the permanent those and also president Nishebo which also share now make sure Ablekuma North yes benya ye chefa yeah. That's the part. I mean, sure. Okay, so he's also sharing his thought with me, and he believes that they've made the right decision. But of course, there's a lot that is expected of the new MP, Honorable Obin, and they're all talking about roads, they're talking about hospitals, and all the things that they need here in Ablekuma North. You know that they believe that they've been deprived for a long time because the development that they were hoping to see, they've not seen it. And so, as at this moment that they've made that decision, they want to expect that the Honorable MP does very well to ensure that development here in Ablekuma North is seen and is very visible. Now, let me still talk to a few people. And the chief, so down country. Okay, Riga.
Over the one Danish can support one about support war. She Kuafi about power, many about power, don't want a patient forever. MPP batano e afie kodoku hako we odoko constitution ne dan ni bia wona moko ni ba anye wa wo mo ni ba leje kana we ba fo bo ba cha ka mboko kura ba enu ile water wo One son in my and one papa and one other chef, coffee, that got patient, a bath of power door, a bar door, no money, a rabbi, or walk or nearly called Jomo Bawale. The local, let us what we share support can of Fiano. Shana shall coffee, the Akaka, but coffee may vote to us, about me. I told me I would chop bread, a bar power, a power, madam. Over the
okay, you are doing.
I chop bread. I chop bread.
I chop bread.
Yeah, your blood. Your blood. If you are going to come like a bar power, I'm a bar power. One a patient forever and endeavor.
Okay. Oh, you are doing. All right. So we're still speaking to residents here at Ablekuma North and about the elections last Friday, and also they're excited about the new person that will be going into Parliament to represent them, and that's what we're talking to people about here. City, good morning.
Morning.
Last Friday now, who voted here?
Yeah, BNA, yeah, meanwhile, danger. In Kay woman, none of you know film now.
Now, when you wear representation of Parliament, Ewurabena, money Jones and Monya Sani.
Oh, to me, in me, say, can't Magboma Lepam, okay. Yeah, for sure. Come up Bomalepo, yeah, okay. Ejake, what you tell Neo BNA, one no papa, yemi. I'm a wow. Cash election time, Ababa 5 cedi, 20 Ghana. Some of the carbo match, I went 200 cedis. Carbo 200 cedis, no vote, I made a cat, I won, I made on. No, this the time ni Bokwaya and Bokwaba. Energy, womaminum, Jebokomaminum, Mofe Ghana, no Bokoye, no Bokwaye. No, what take me like Monday, we think we are okay. No one like a wall and in the big papa New York and how woman Ghana, low Ablekuma North, neighbor, no how. I wish you all the best.
First of all, minimum expectation or expectable from Ewurabena in terms of Parliament.
For sure, I mean, no need expect for now. The way you tell you Ablekuma North, like mostly may talent. No, many. I mean, ya come wash, or my ya come wash. No, Miss Ren is on boom, na like pie. Make me yana me benuchum, make me na me ben here no come. No one qualify can near Banwake, what we Wahimoke Yelia we me, a wow. No one you was a quite NPP, I'm a batano, almost 28 years. I feel look papa. Ababanaba or Abahaska, Conafe Bulwa, Nika Benabashi wete. No one qualify a bar near Bam. Eba honey you tell away one word to more no, nin like a second way to me. One tower, how do you call it? Mona Yile. JF, our cousin. I can next time make her try Ablekuma North. And a bibiona spray pepper and ye, Kayo Papa near, call ye spray pepper. So no ye spray pepper, no ye no boda guys in Febulwa near. So don't you come, I cannot have a few a bulwa near the few cars work and baby and a gababi and next time get our back Billy. Next time get our back Billy. Well, why you year na small. Next time about not go wide date. I can't try. Bye bye.
Okay, not you more. This people bringing my gun up this morning here. Chief, I say,
hey, you.
Friday, no, I call saying,
oh, but just changes. Now, difference because one party at transfer hache and I improvement be our into no yes someone there yeah shani no so the beba say bibi different beba na say be yes yeah
now what can so share there obey on us or the beba e dey plan dem akuma so Ablekuma North say
all
right, so that's the Constituents saying that they're excited that there's change after 29 years of NPP representing them in Parliament. They're expecting that the NDC will do a lot for them. They're asking for job creation. They're asking for improvement with regards to their roads. And of course, a life should be better for the people of Ablekuma North. They are happy. I was quite surprised, because if you look at the vote difference, it's only 209. So if the number of people KMJ spoke to, not even one said that he or she was hoping that the NPP will come to, represent them, but rather they are happy that the NDC is representing them. Then that's quite surprising. But then we still have a Dr. Draman online. He's on Zoom, and we also have Dr. Kwame Asante also on Zoom. I want to ask them, Dr. Kwame Asante.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here.
Is it surprising with regards to the reaction from the constituents? Because it looks like 100% those KMJ spoke to are all excited that the NDC is going to represent them in Parliament.
Oh, I'm not surprised because you see, if people vote for results and they want improvement in their lives, if you read Dan and Co., they tell you that there are good reasons why people vote. So when they vote and they are not able to meet their dreams and aspirations, obviously they want a change. And that is why they change the status quo. So I am not surprised at all. But what the message out there for NDC is that they should not repeat that if they want to maintain their hold in that constituency, because this is a stronghold for the NPP. If the NPP is able to put their house in order, the story could change. But if the NDC want to maintain, then obviously they have to work extra hard.
If you say put their house in order, what are you talking about? What will it take for the NPP to come back?
NPP at the moment, it is without doubt that there are difficulties within the party, and it's normal. But it is incumbent upon them to be able to look at the problems and deal with them head on. And that will help them to be able to galvanize support from all the areas, particularly their strongholds. Once you have division within the party, you have problems that remain unsolved and all that. It can have negative implications about what you do within the constituency. So if you are not able to handle these things very well, even strongholds, you are likely to lose them, as they lost a lot of them in the last election. So I expect them to be able to know all this and begin to work at them. The good news is that they went around to collect data about what caused their defeat. I'm sure some of these solutions are found in that report. They should be able to implement the report to the letter and ensure that they get value for money.
Dr. Draman, please, Dr. Kwame Asante, I'll come back to you again. Let me go to Dr. Draman right now.
Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Draman, right now that the NDC has secured this seat, of course, it's a seat that they have hoped for 29 years. How can they retain it?
When your colleague was talking to the constituents, I think two things struck me. The first one was a comment by the first gentleman when he said that they've been taken for granted for quite some time, and that, there was a feeling that even if you put a goat and then you put the NPP flag on that goat could win the election. I think that is how complacent the NPP was. At least based on what the gentleman has said. The second thing that struck me, I think, is the expectations. Just the visuals alone. Of course, we know what's happening in our country across different places and different constituencies. There's a very huge expectation on this single MP, and I am not too sure whether this MP, especially knowing what we know MPs do, they want the MP to fix their roads, they want the MP to give them jobs, they want the MP to do all manner of things that usually are not within the remit of the role of an MP. So that is where, for me, I see the difficulty. And then, of course, like Dr. Santi said, if the MPP puts his house in order, I believe that I mean, this is, I mean, if you look at the numbers, I mean, the margin of victory that separated the two, I think, I mean, is still not a done deal in terms of the fact that this seat could permanently remain under the armpit of the NDC. So a number of issues there. I mean, if the MP is able to rise to the challenge, I hope she's able to fix the roads, fix their problems. Then the NDC has a chance of retaining the seat. Otherwise, I think given the margin of victory, this could be a different story in the next election.
Right. Now, this lady, Honorable Ewurabena North, if sworn in as MP, this will be her first time in Parliament. How can she maneuver her way to get the request of her constituents granted? Dr. Draman.
I didn't hear the question. The network was... Okay. Yes, I said I didn't hear the last part of the
All right,
question.
so I was saying that...
How can she maneuver her way?
Yes, how can she maneuver her way to get the request of her constituents granted? All right, so we'll try and get a doc back.
Yeah, now it's better.
It's better. Okay, please go ahead. Say? Okay, so I was saying... No, is it better now?
Yes.
Okay, so I was saying that how can Ewurabena North maneuver her way to get the request of her constituents granted, knowing that this is her first time in Parliament?
First of all, I think all eyes are going to be on her. I don't know when she's going to walk into Parliament. And given the very high stakes, perhaps she might be able to get the attention of, all her colleagues in Parliament, particularly the ministers that are responsible for all the sectors that are facing challenges. In terms of youth unemployment and education, the roads, and so on and so forth. But like I said earlier, these are very, very high expectations, and the party would have to balance, the interest of this particular constituency, which is one of 276. How do you ensure that, this constituency is taken care of at the same time? All the major problems that we are faced with as a country are taken care of. So it's going to be a huge task for her. But I believe, again, maybe given the fact that the stakes were very high, perhaps the party might decide to put, a lot of its attention to the constituency. And if they do that, then she stands a chance of proving her worth and proving the fact that, as some of the people in your visuals indicated, they've been voting for 28 years and they haven't seen any good results in terms of the outcome of their votes. But most importantly, I want to say that in terms of her parliamentary duties, I think she has missed the boat because when Parliament was sworn in, I think there was orientation that was given to members of Parliament and to prepare them to be able to carry out their business in the House and so on. Now she's coming in 6 months after the fact. So I'm hoping that at least measures will be put in place by the caucus, by the parliamentary administration to quickly get her up to speed. Because above everything else, above solving the issues of the constituency, she needs to do the business of our country. She's elected as a member of Parliament, even though she represents the people of Ablekuma North. I think, most importantly, she's a member of Parliament and she's supposed to do the business of this country. So I hope that steps will be taken very quickly to get her to understand the ropes, to get her to understand the procedures, standing orders, and so on, so that at least she can contribute her quota to the business of the House and to the business of our country.
Right. Thank you so much. Let me go to Dr. Asa Asante. Hello, Dr. Asa Asante.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah, I'm here.
Now, this switch is quite historical. Is this switch organic or is proxy?
If you look at it, depend on how you want to view it. But I believe that, strictly speaking, there's something, whatever how you view it, there's something that can be derived from this. One, that the party that has won the seat should be able to do all that we have said, and then help her. Your question you posed to Dr. Draman, that yes, the one of the things that they can also do in this regard is making sure that the party or the government support her through and through. But of course, remember that the demands for these things in other areas are also beckoning on the government. So there's a need for a careful balance and all that. So when you put all together, relative to the question you have put, whatever there is, the important thing to do is that you satisfy the needs of the people and make sure that people do not vote in vain. They expect something, and that thing ought to come.
All right, thank you so much. I'll come back to you, but I want to say a big thank you to Dr. Draman, Rashid Draman, for joining us. Doc, we are grateful.
Thank you very much.
All right.
But before I go, let me attempt to answer the question about whether, the last question you asked, whether it's organic
or proxy, so on. Right?
Yeah. So there was a wave. I think we all agree that there was a wave in our country, and that wave swept through. And overturned a number of places that were red into green and so on. And many are saying, or posing the question, analytically, whether if there was no rerun, if there was no stall in the process of counting the votes and so on in Ablekuma North, whether the seat, could have gone to the NDC. Many are saying or asking the question, for instance, did this rerun, did the NDC benefit from the fact that, particularly the voters, if you look at voter intentions and voter the decisions that voters make, usually they make decisions based on, anticipation of some good outcomes. Now the NDC is in power, people will say, maybe if we align with the NDC, we might get development in our constituency. So there are a number of questions that people are asking. And I think this should inform the two parties as they make their decisions and as they handle this very important constituency. It's not a deciding constituency as we saw in the time many years ago, because with this or without it, I think the NDC still had a supermajority in Parliament. But I think it's a constituency to watch, and I think both parties have to be up and doing. We like the contest, and we like instances like this when no one party can take anybody for granted. If you are not satisfied, you go for a change.
Right.
I think I'll leave it at that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rashid Draman, for joining us this morning. We are super grateful. Have a wonderful day. And Dr. Rashid Draman is Executive Director for Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. We still have Dr. Kwame Asa Asante still online. Doc?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, so
yes.
If we look at Ablekuma North, we had Sheila Bartels go for just a term. We had Nanekwe Usuefrie go for 1 term. And now we have Ewurabena Obing, although we've seen allegiance switch a bit. We don't know if she'll go for 1 term or she will go for more than one. But does it look like the constituency is becoming a 1-term constituency?
Normally, when things change, the effect is felt on the ground that if they don't take care, particularly MPP, and the NDC is able to put its house in order and deliver based on their promise, they are likely to maintain their position or the seat. So when you have that, then obviously 1 term will not be, you are going to have 2 terms for the NDC. But looking at what I saw on the ground, looking at what panned out of this election, I have no doubt in my mind that when MPP decide to go full hawk, the contest is going to be very interesting because you can see that the NPP candidate put in a lot of performance, irrespective of the fact that the party officially declared that they were not contesting. So it tells you that it cannot be a safe seat for particularly NDC. No, NDC. But if NDC want to hang on to that seat, then they need to work extra hard to be able to win the confidence of the people and all that. Remember, strongholds are not easy to maintain if you are coming from the other side of the political divide. So to be able to endure yourself into their hearts and minds, then obviously it is require hard work. Nothing but hard work.
Right. Do you think the incumbents' majority in Parliament also played an advantage in Ewurabena's victory?
A lot of factors explain the victory.
Okay.
One of it is the fact that they've taken them for granted for a long time. So you saw, as your reporters were talking to them, all these things were coming up. But more importantly was the issue of the economy. In Ghana, wherever election, anywhere election takes place, one most important consideration for all voters, irrespective of stronghold, irrespective of party tradition, irrespective of ideology, irrespective of anything you can think of that influence voter choice, I can tell you without fear of contradiction, is the economy. Because voting in Africa, particularly in Ghana, is nothing but bread and butter issues. People vote with the hope that they will get something out of that. So if economy faces challenges, then obviously other factors will also come into play. Then you will not be able to deliver jobs for the youth. That will also be a critical index for people to gauge whether you can handle the situation on the ground. 2, if the economy doesn't improve, then you also will not be able to provide infrastructure development as required by the Constitution. If the economy doesn't improve, issue of health and agriculture and all other areas are affected. But that aside, one of the things that also work out for them effectively is the fact that they are going to get somebody who is going to come from the ruling party. So if there is anything that will help their development, you'll be able to canvas for that. You'll be able to lobby the ministers and all that. And priority will be given to her because the party want to make inroads within that stronghold of the NPP. So these are some of the factors. But of course, if you also stay on power for a very long time, then people realize that you are not delivering based on your numerous promises, then people want to change and change for changing's sake. So all these factors came together to kick out the NPP candidate.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Thank you for joining us and do have a wonderful day.
You're welcome.
And Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante is a political scientist. We've also been joined online by Justice Abdullahi, who is a constitutional lawyer, a senior lecturer at UPSA. Good morning, Justice Abdullahi.
Thank you. Good morning.
How are you today?
It's a pleasure being here.
All right, it's a pleasure to have you too. I hope you're doing well.
I could have been better, but sometimes we have to give all glory to God.
Amen. God is good all the time.
I apologize for being late. In fact, it's part of the reasons why I couldn't join on time.
That's okay. It's fine. We still have you. That's the most important thing. Now, constitutionally, how do we expect this to affect us with regards to passage of law? Having the NDC have an absolute majority in Parliament.
Absolutely. Just as you put it, absolute majority. And that is exactly how things are going to be going forward. So we now have what we've never had in our constitutional history. This is the first time we've had this kind of majority possibly since independence. I think the very first time we had this kind, not even the same level of majority, was, I think, the first Republican constitution under Dr. Nkrumah. And even that wasn't this close. We came
in
close 1992. To having the same...
In 1992.
In 1992, that's what I'm coming to.
All right.
But the 1992 story is a bit different.
Yeah.
The difference is that in the 1992 constitution, you didn't have the NPP officially contesting for the election because of all the troubles they alleged was going on. And so these are two different things that we have. Possible times that we came close to having this level of constitutional democracy. And so one can easily say, but if you look at those two instances, you can glean from that period that we did not have what you probably would expect from an absolute government to undertake, by way of unbridled constitutional changes. And we did have some small semblance of that in Dr. Nkrumah's time, where a lot of constitutional amendments were made. But in the 1992 constitution, under the first Republican, NDC, under Jerry Rawlings, we didn't have the level of changes that one would have thought. I think possibly the biggest changes in the constitution that we had was the amendment to the Citizenship Act, and also even that was in 96. And then also the attempt to remove Ekong Kansan from some offices that he held as a vice president. But there were no such sweeping changes to the constitution as we had at the time. Now, things are a little different because right from 2012, there had been calls for a lot of constitutional amendments. And unfortunately, almost all the governments that we've had since 2012 had complained about the procedures, about the structures put in place, including the entrenched positions and the non-entrenched positions, and even how to amend some of the non-entrenched positions. There have been challenges, great challenges for that matter. And this is why this particular era presents a unique opportunity under President Mahama to make all the changes, if you like, that would inure to the collective good of you and I. And this is because, luckily for us, President Mills and President Nana Akufo-Addo were all on the same ticket in the 2012 elections when the sweeping promises of constitutional amendments were made. And President Mahama, who served as the vice president of President Mills, was, if you like, on the ticket behind the scenes. And so I think he has had the benefit of knowing all the things that we need to do. He has already put in place the mechanisms to make the constitutional reforms by appointing Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh to head that portfolio, whilst at the same time needing majority members of parliament to undertake the rest of the job. Now, that majority, he has it. So even if in the past we wouldn't have had consensus, now he has an opportunity, a very unique one, to make what Ghanaians have been crying for a reality. And I think that as all of us are aware, to make a constitutional changes, this is the kind of majority that you need. And let's not even rest it there. Let's remember that there's Akwatia also coming. Mm-hmm. Should Akwatia go in favor of the NDC, now it makes matters even worse, to the extent that even though we are still in the same suit, now the NDC can literally call the bluff of the NPP. and they wouldn't even care whether or not they show up in Parliament. That system wouldn't change even with or without Akwetia, but it just makes it worse for the NPP side, and it makes it better for President Mahama, who can now comfortably, with just a call to the House, make the kind of changes that we need to see for the progress of our country.
Now,
without any form of resistance.
The conversation of President Mahama going on a third term is something that everybody is discussing on social media as of now. It will take a trigger of a constitutional review. How will this play in Parliament?
So in Parliament, it is very easy, very comfortable for President Mahama if he so desires to do that. However, in reality, I doubt he's thinking about that. And I say this because everybody appreciates the fact that he has had a very unique opportunity, first of all, for coming back as the president, which has never happened in this country. I mean, he has set a lot of histories. First, he lost by a huge majority for the first, when being the first president who has lost for his rerun. That was a history that he set. He has set a second history yet again by coming back from the wilderness this time. And then he didn't just come back. He came back stronger, better, prepared, and in every respect, ready to govern this country for the collective good of all of us. Now, and these are all unique examples or histories that he has set, and it goes down in the history books. But that having been said, I think to think that President Mahama would contest for yet another term, for me, I think it's far-fetched because I do not see him as a person who would like to unduly take advantage of the kind of situation that we are presently being presented with. I think that even within the party, there are other people who are also seeking for the same office. And within the party, I can see some level of resistance that would crop up should President Mahama declares his intention to contest for the third term. And so I do not foresee that happening. But and that is also because there are other members of Parliament who are also interested in the same seat from the same political party. So there will be a lot of resistance from within the party, from within Parliament, and from outside of Parliament, and indeed from outside of the party, i.e., the NPP is also clearly going to contest this, not legally, but we can foresee a lot of demonstrations, a lot of resistance from the public against any attempt for President Mahama to contest for the next elections, notwithstanding any constitutional amendment that would even go in favor of that possibility. I think that if there will be a constitutional amendment, it will not be for his benefit, constitutional amendment for a third term. He will not do it for the sake of his benefit. He probably will do it for the sake of posterity, so that all of us, because let's remember President Kufuor made a recommendation in his last State of Nations address when he said that the present system that we have for 4-year tenure of president is not fit for purpose. And he actually advocated for a 7-year tenure. And he said this based on the peculiarities of what he witnessed as a president. And one of those was that we spent over a year trying to form a government after winning elections. And then we spent the next 2 years trying to put the country together, and the third year, or the fourth year if you like, contesting for yet another election. So literally, every government that, every person that comes into office has barely 2 years to work, if you like. And so the rest of the 2 years are spent on elections and on forming government. So it is not fit for purpose. And this is from President Kufuor's, analysis. So based on that, President Kufuor made that recommendation that we should probably extend the tenure to a 7-year, possibly non-renewal, which could inure to our collective good. Because once you spend 1 year forming government, then you know that you have a minimum of 5 years running the government, and then another 1 year contesting for. In fact, you may not even contest if you do it a 1 10-year, 7-year, so that you do not even need to think about the next election. But of course, there will still be an election to be run, which the candidate may not necessarily.
Okay, so Justice Abdullahi was making a good point there as to whether President John Dramani Mahama will go for a third term or not. But what he's saying is that it doesn't look like he will want to go for a third term. We have a few messages that have come in. We'll be reading them pretty shortly, and then we'll read those messages on Facebook as well. So keep your messages coming in. Justice Abdullahi, you're back.
Thank you so much. So my position was that if you go by President Kufuor's recommendation of 7-year tenure, we are likely to have a 1 year of organizing the government, putting in place a government, and 6 years of ruling the country to the benefit of all of us, without the incumbent president being interested in the next election, because he would have had only one tenure. Now, if you go by all these analyses, what I'm essentially getting at is that even if President Mahama intends to change the constitution by way of an amendment for a third term, he will not be doing it for his private benefit, but will be doing it for other future presidents. And I say this based on his private experiences, and I'm sure he has consulted the other former presidents on these matters. Should the need be, he would have consulted for any such amendment. However, I would prefer that if you're going by an amendment, I would prefer we go by an 8-year amendment, 1 10-year, no renewable of any of the tenure of office of the president. 1 term, you go, you hit the ground running right from day one, and you deliver if you want to deliver. If you fail, unfortunately, you have only 1 tenure. There's no chance to come back.
Right. Thank you so much on that one. Now, let me ask you a final question before I let you go. There's a Constitutional Review Committee, sitting as of now. Now, how can they use this phenomenon to actually get their amendments done?
So this presents them with one of the best opportunities. In the past, as I indicated earlier, we've had a lot of resistance from both sides of the divide. If you remember, sometime in the first tenure of President Kufuor's era, when he pushed for the elections of the MMDCs, the members of the district assemblies elections, to be done on partisan lines, the NDC's position was that we do it non-partisan. Social media and, if you like, the rest of us were all of the opinion that the non-partisan was the best. Indeed, if you remember the recommendations of the Constitutional Review Committee that was set up earlier by President Mills, their recommendation was that we do the contest in line with, possibly in line with what President Kufuor said. But the white paper of the president said no. We were rather going to do it non-partisan, except that the only thing that President Mills introduced into that recommendation was that more or less the government was going to see the numbers of persons who were going to contest the elections. So if about 5 nominations were brought, about 3 of them would be allowed to contest. And for me, that was, if you like, that was a bad part of the white paper that was introduced into this whole thing. I was of the opinion that the right thing to do, to go into the elections, everyone who wanted to contest based on his own lineage, not necessarily based on his affiliations to any particular political party. Because that is what Ghanaians want. Because Ghanaians are tired of the bickering between the NPP and NDC. And we want to hold our district assemblies accountable ourselves, not for a president or a minister to be dictating to them as to what to do and what not to do. And so based on these discrepancies and the contest between stakeholders, among other persons, President Kufuor literally withdrew the elections that were to be conducted at the time. And it affected almost every kind of thing within that space. Now, unfortunately, that kind of resistance cannot be had today, should President Mahama desire and pushes for this same thing to be done. Because that part of the constitutional amendment is very easy, straightforward, and we can go ahead with it today or the next district assembly elections. We could have a contest among people who do not at least directly affiliate to any particular political party. And that will be the beginning of all the good things that we desire in this country.
Thank you so much, Justice Abdullahi. We are so grateful that you have broken things down for us this morning. So if there's anybody out there who's been wondering, Justice Abdullahi has told us everything. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
You have a blessed day.
Right. And we pray God will answer your prayers since things were not too smooth this morning.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. You are the best.
Thank you so much. All right, and that's Justice Abdullahi, who is a constitutional lawyer and also a senior lecturer at UPSA School of Law or Faculty of Law. And thank you all so much. We'll be reading a few messages pretty shortly, but before then, we'll say a very big thank you to Franco Trading Enterprise for always having our back. If you're looking for the right gadgets, make sure you go to Franco Trading Enterprise for that and even many more. You can download the app on your phone to make things very simple, which is the Franco Trading app. Or for further inquiries, visit www.francotradingenterprise.com. Franco Trading Enterprise, still and still. Phone Papa PFA. A lot of messages have come in. I'll read a few and then we can go. All right? Master Planner Junior Kington Paul says that the NPP is not a weak party, just that we believe in democracy and rule of law. That cannot be taken as weakness and guarantee for our opponents, NDC. Malik Basintali has been moving around with macho men since election 2024, but the National Peace Council, Christian and Muslim Council, including journalists, are all quiet about that. It's a modified vigilante group and we must condemn and dissolve them. These thugs are those allegedly perpetuating violence. Wrong is wrong and we should condemn it in no uncertain terms. I don't expect my party, NPP, to retaliate in the future, but if these NDC groups are not dissolved, I'll be surprised if they do so one day. Shalom. Master Planner Junior Kintampo. K. Frimpong says that, good morning, Rosalind. It's been over 72 hours. And not a single arrest has been made, even though all those who were engaged in such barbaric acts were clearly captured in camera. If government fails to deal with these hooligans as they are, then there will definitely be a retaliation in future. The so-called wicked President Akufo-Addo arrested his own party vigilante group and arraigned them before court. Regardless of whatever that happened, they were charged and fined. The state made sure they all paid their fine. It didn't end there. The president, Akufo-Addo, disbanded all vigilante groups within his own party and asked all parties to do the same. The president, Akufo-Addo, through executive instrument, issued an act to deal with vigilantism and its related offences. Act 2019, Act 999, was passed. The act disbanded all vigilante groups. The NPP, in compliance of the law, disbanded their vigilante groups. All right, so I'm reading the same thing over and over again. Thank you so much, K. Frimpong. Good morning, Madam Roslyn. Ooh, sometimes you're going down and then you go up. All right, let me see what I have here. Okay, so Teacher Kujo from Tepai in Swano says that Hanabisu should know that power is transient. Now you're happy about what happened to Hawa Kumsin. Today it's her, tomorrow it will be you, and yours will be worse. You can't hate someone like that because of politics. What has she done to you? Your party is in government, so you want all Ghanaians to die and go rule the trees. Greetings to Honorable Eric and Anajuman Prempe, MP for Ahafo North. All right, good morning, Madam Roslyn. Your panelists, I'm Big Alaska from Garu, Tampani, and my greetings to all the youth in Tampani constituency. If not Ablekuma North rerun elections, I never believe a human being can fly like a bird. Thank God Ablekuma North is now having a rep in Parliament. Congratulations to her. Please, can someone tell the military in Boko to stop what they are doing? How can you destroy a statue of the overlord of Kusag? We need peace, but the military actions is provoking. We pray for peace for the people of Boko. The NDC's overwhelming majority in Parliament, solidified by the Ablekuma North victory, is a clear mandate for the people. It's a resounding rejection of NPP's arrogance, incompetence, and partisan governance. I'm confident that the NDC will yield this strength not for petty politics, but to advance the national interest, restore dignity to governance, and deliver real progress. This majority is not for show, it's for service. Daniel Akmaliok from Sandema